Dr. B. Acharya from NIT Raipur. Dr. B. Acharya graduated from Dr. B. A. Marathwada University, Aurangabad in Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering and completed master degree from National Institute of Technology, Rourkela in Telematics and Signal Processing, and he also received his PhD degree from NIT Rourkela. He is currently serving as assistant professor in Department of Electronics and Telecommunication, NIT Raipur. He has 15 years of teaching and 3 years of industry experience. He has also guided several MTech and PhD research scholars. He has one patent and more than 100 research publications in national and international journals and conferences. His research area of interest are cryptography, signal processing, high-performance architecture, hardware security, and FPGA-based design. He has focused in the last few years on the research issues in image encryption scheme, lightweight cryptography, and hardware Trojan. He is also member of editorial board of one journal and served as program chair member of many conferences. He also served as reviver of many national, international journal and conference. He has participated in many conferences in India and abroad in the capacity of program chair member, invited speaker, keynotes speaker, and session chair, etc. He is associated with two projects from Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Those are Information Security, Education Awareness, and Chip to System Design to foster research in the area of information security and VLSI. He conferred with Rajiv Gandhi Excellence Award August 2011 for meritorious services, etc. From IIFS New Delhi, he is a member of CSI, IETE, CRSI, IE, and ISTE. We are so honored to have you as our speaker. Thank you, sir. Now I hereby hand over the mic to you, sir.
Very good morning to you. I need to
good morning, sir.
Audible to
sir,
you all.
Continue.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, I think I'm audible to you all.
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Yeah. Very good morning. Yeah, very good morning to you all. And I'm thankful to Sri Shankaracharya Institute. And they have taken this initiative to conduct this AICTE CSBTU MOU Joint Teachers Training Program. And particularly, I'm very much thankful to you, Dr. Siddharth Choubeji, so for organizing this training program. So today I'll be discussing a very interesting topic. Clear? So myself, Dr. B. Acharya from NIT Raipur, and presently as she is introduced to associated with two projects from Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. So let me share my slides to you. Just a minute. Yeah, I think slides are visible to you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll start now. So today we will discuss the lightweight cryptography, very much interesting topic. Clear? So okay, so first in presentation layout, I'll be discussing introduction, what is lightweight cryptography first. Then we'll see basics, what is cryptography. Then slowly we'll proceed about what is lightweight cryptography. Then we'll discuss the difference between conventional cryptography and lightweight cryptography. Then motivation for research in this field. Then classification of lightweight cryptography. So gradually we will discuss one by one. Clear? Okay. So over the past few years, Internet of Things has emerged because of advancing research and practical applications. Clear? So IoT is a system of enabling devices for communication and computing process through the internet. Clear? So it integrates devices and sensor nodes in the communication network. Clear? So the smart chips and sensors transmit important data deployed on physical objects in IoT. Clear? Which are present in the environment everywhere. Clear? So the exchange of information interconnects the devices. So the transfer of information must be safe and secure in the IoT platform. Clear? So the cryptography plays an important role for secure data. Clear? So nowadays, security and privacy has been a major concern with the evolution of IoT devices and sensor networks. So these devices have limited resources. So you'll ask me a question, what is limited resource? Limited resource in terms of amount of memory it is available, amount of processing power it is available, amount of what battery supply, the power it is there, the supply battery, amount of battery, it is very less. So these have limited resources in terms of area, power. Again, the size of these devices are also very small. Clear? So area, power, and memory. So due to this constraint, these are all called limited resource devices. Clear? So it has become a challenging task to secure resource constrained devices in IoT platform. Clear? So in IoT, there are a lot of smart embedded systems are connected. Clear? So most of these smart embedded systems are limited resource constrained devices. Clear? So, for example, if I tell radio frequency identifies the RFID tags and wireless sensor network nodes, therefore lightweight cryptography algorithms. So, in this resource constrained devices, conventional cryptographic algorithms are not suitable. So, for these resource constrained devices, new type of cryptographic algorithms that developed, those are called as a lightweight cryptography. Clear? So therefore, lightweight cryptographic algorithms have been developed to provide adequate security in such resource constrained devices. Clear? So the hardware implementation of these algorithms cannot be easily modified. See, these lightweight cryptographic algorithms can be implemented software through the software. Also, we can do the hardware implementation. But what is the advantage of hardware implementation of this lightweight cryptography? The hardware implementation of these algorithms cannot be easily modified. Clear? So I'll repeat once again, the hardware implementation of these algorithms cannot be easily modified or read by an intruder. Clear? If they want to do something changes, if it is a hardware implementation, they cannot do any changes. Clear? So hence it offers more physically secure implementation by nature. Clear? So security and privacy in cyber physical systems. So cyber physical systems are the engineered and physical entities that are capable of performing computational and physical processes. So simply it is a combination of embedded systems. Just now I was talking to you. All these smart embedded systems are resource constrained devices. Clear? Simply the cyber physical system, simply it is a combination of embedded systems that often performs the interaction between the network computational resources and systems. Clear? So they find their applications in many fields. Clear? That include the area of telecommunication, transportation, surveillance, monitoring, and factory automation. So these cyber physical systems technologies include, what are these cyber physical systems include? They include Internet of Things, they include industrial Internet of Things, smart grids, clear? Then smart anything. Smart anything means what? It can be smart hospitals, it can be smart home, it can be smart appliances, clear? So it can be smart manufacturing. You'll ask me questions, sir, what is a smart home? In the smart home, while entering inside the home, there'll be no conventional locks. There'll be biometrical authentication systems. Again, that is a smart embedded system. So through the biometric, the person will be allowed inside to enter inside the house. So only the authenticated person will be allowed inside the house. Clear? So the biometric, it may be physiological trait, it may be used, and clear, or it can be the behavioral traits. So it depends. Clear? Again, inside the home, we have fire alarm systems, we have temperature control systems. Clear? So there are many more that equipments are connected. So that's why it is called as a smart home. Clear? And even like country like us, in India, our economy is totally mostly it is dependable on agriculture. So even the farming, we are doing smart farming. Clear? The smart farming, by staying through the IoT, by remotely we can control all the parameters. Clear? And the farming, it has been converted to smart farming with the help of IoT. Clear? So the workflow of a cyber physical system consists of monitoring, networking, computing, and executing. Clear? So in the networking phase, precisely all the sensor nodes communicate with each other for information of data. So in the smart farming, if the parameters are the communication is hacked and they will manipulate it, so entire that farming will spoil, and it will it put impact in our economy, country's economy. So all these informations, what it has been transferred, it should be secure enough. Clear? So there are certain characteristics of security. So whether slides are changing to you, can anybody respond to me? Hello?
Sir, slide is not visible.
Yes, sir.
Which slide it is? Now the trust areas in security, is it there? Hello? Whether
Sir,
it is so,
I also cannot see the screen.
One? Yes?
Screen is not shared, I feel.
Sir, slides are not visible, sir.
Slides are not visible.
Sir, slides are visible. Actually, you have two IDs, joining ID. One is for presentation ID, and another one is your.
No, sixth slide is not visible to you.
So this is visible.
I'll share once again. It's visible there writing. It's visible. Okay. It is visible there writing. I will share once again.
Yes, sir, visible, sir. Actually, my side, I think the network problem is there.
Yeah. Everybody is writing. It is visible. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Slides are changing, right? Hello?
Yes, sir, they are changing. They are changing.
Okay. Thank you for your. So, the trust areas in security. So, what are those trust areas? First one, it is that confidentiality. Clear? You can see here it is showing confidentiality. So, what is trust areas in security? First is the confidentiality, then next is the integrity, then next is access control, then non-repudiation, availability, and authorization. We will discuss one by one. So first it is, what is confidentiality? Confidentiality, it ensures the information, what it has been passed through the communication channel, only that intended person will read, none other than that they can read it. So the information should be confidential between the sender and receiver. So the confidentiality it ensures. the security of the message, so that only the intended sender and the receiver will be able to read that. Now, next it is the integrity. So what is integrity? Integrity, it ensures while the data is transferred on the communication channel, it should not be altered. Clear? So what information it has been transferred on the communication cell, same information it has to reach to the receiver. For example, if I will tell you from a bank, it gives a order, NEFT, just credit 10,000 rupees in so and so account. So the hacker in between, he can hack it. So 10,000, it can be converted into 10 lakhs or it can be converted to 10 crores. So integrity, it ensures that what information it has been transferred in the same original message only it should reach to the receiver end. So what is access control? Access control means that legitimate user should able to use these resources. So access control, again, next one, it is that access control means if you will see any organization, there is a hierarchical structure. According to that position, how much data they can access, it has been assigned. Clear? So based upon their position, they can access that much amount of only data. Clear? And other data they cannot access it. That is access control. So what is non-repudiation? So non-repudiation is that what he cannot deny involvement in the communication. For example, every day the gold price, it varies. Suppose one person is giving of gold and drastically tomorrow the gold price is reduced. So he may deny that I have not given order of the gold. So that is non-repudiation. It ensures he cannot deny the involvement in the communication. So availability is that what for the legitimate user, the resources, his own resources should be available to him and he should be able to use it. Then authentication. Authentication, what it ensures that from where you have received the message, you should then you are confident that yes, this message is come from only that legitimate user whom he has sent. Clear? Authenticated person only he has sent. So authentication, it ensures that this information, it has come, you can verify it. Clear? It has come from only that much, only the authenticated person, none other than him. Clear? So today, in the information age, as the internet and other form of electronic communication become more prevalent, electronic security is becoming increasingly important. Clear? So cryptography, the science of encryption, plays a central role in mobile phone communications, pay TV, e-commerce, sending private emails, then transmitting financial information, security of ATM cards, computer passwords, and touches on many aspects of our daily lives. Clear? So cryptography plays cryptography system can be broadly classified into two types. So what are those that broadly it has been divided? What are those? First one is the symmetric crypto system and other one is the asymmetric crypto system. So symmetric crypto system, only one key is shared in between the sender and receiver for encryption and the decryption. Symmetric crypto system also it is called as a secret key communication because the same key that was the single key is kept in secret in between the sender and receiver. Clear? So, and what are the other one? It is the asymmetric crypto system, and asymmetric crypto system also called as a public key crypto system. And in the asymmetric crypto system, there are two keys. One key is kept secret, that is the private key, and the other key is the public key, and the public key is kept open. Clear? So, what are the example of symmetric crypto system? That is DES, the data encryption standard, and that DES algorithm was broken. That's why the next one it developed a triple DES, triple data encryption standard. Then we have AES, advanced encryption standard. Then one more example is RC4, our example of symmetric key crypto system, or also it is called as a secret key or private key crypto system, because the key is kept secret in symmetric crypto system. Clear? And whereas RSA, elliptic curve cryptography are the example of asymmetric, or also it is called as a public key cryptography. Clear? So these are the basic things. I will proceed. So cryptography the basic who those are not knowing, just I will give an overview, then we'll proceed. So cryptography is the term used to describe the science of secret communication. Clear? So this cryptography word derived from Greek word. So what is the cryptos? Cryptos means it is nothing but it is hidden, and logos means the word. Clear? So the cryptology is divided into two parts. One is the cryptography and other one is the cryptanalysis. So cryptanalysis is breaking the cryptography. Clear? How to break it? That science is called cryptanalysis. Clear? So cryptography, it transforms a message into coded form. So recovers then again it recovers the original message. Clear? So that nobody else will be able to. Why it is converts to coded? Because nobody else it can read it. Only the legitimate receiver, he will able to decrypt it. That means he will able to form into the original signal. Then what is cryptanalysis? Cryptanalysis deals in how to undo cryptographic communication by breaking the codes, signals, and that may be accepted as genuine. Clear? So that's a simple terminology. So a plain text, that is that original message, and it is converted to, after encryption, it converted back into the ciphertext, and ciphertext is transmitted over the communication channel, and with the help of the key we are encrypting, and again at the receiver end, this ciphertext with the help of the key we are decrypting it. Clear? So and also it is called as a decryption or also decipher. Clear? So this is the basic thing. We will not go deep into this. So next, for any computing system to survive any complex attack by the third party, clear? So the key that is used should be large enough, clear? So that the brute force attack it can withstand. So you'll ask me question, sir, what is brute force attack? Brute force attack means each time each one key combination he will try. For simple example, if I will tell you, you are going to the ATM, clear, ATM, and you are withdrawing your money. So you can see your PIN is of 4-bit, clear. So the key space it lies between how much? 4-bit means the PIN it lies between 00002 to 4 times 9. 0002 to 9999. So in between this your pin it lies. So your key space it is from 00002 to 4 times 9s. So each time if you will give one key a pin, that means you automatically will find out which pin is yours. So that is the key space. That's why that is called brute force attack. Each and every from 0002 to 4 times 9, if you will search, so your pin will be in between that. So that is the key space. And if you will each time one key, if you will try the pin, that is called as a brute force attack. So for any computing system to survive any complex attack by the third party, the key that is used should be large enough. That's why the key should be large enough. Clear? And the number of if the key is large enough, the key space also will be large. So and the number of rounds should be higher enough. Clear? Rounds means in the encryption process. So this adds up the requirement of higher dimension and of the devices that have large computational resources and computing power. Clear? Now let us see this block diagram. So higher-end devices. So what are those higher-end devices? Higher-end devices like server nodes, then desktops, tablets, and smartphones. So for all these high-end devices, server nodes, desktops, tablets, and smartphones, these phones, so this conventional cryptography is suitable. Clear? But whereas that lower-end devices is like embedded systems and RFID and sensor networks. So these are all lower-end devices. For these lower-end devices, lightweight cryptographic algorithms are suitable. Clear? So IoT usually extends its connectivity between devices and computers beyond normal machine-to-machine communication. So there is a high concern for security in IoT as there could be risk of distribution of data breach centrally. Clear? So RFID tags, it may be of active or passive, are highly constrained in terms of power and silicon area. Clear? So most of the tags are battery powered, which is usually pick up the power from the incoming electromagnetic radiation. So these emerging technologies find their application in many aspects, which include environmental monitoring. So environmental monitoring means, just now I was talking about smart farming. Clear? And even environmental monitoring in your home, temperature control. Clear? Then healthcare, then military surveillance, and military surveillance UAVs are used. Even in smart farming, UAVs are used. Clear? Unmanned aerial vehicles. So military surveillance and home automation, then electronic toll, etc. In electronic tolls, you have seen RFID is used. So if it is that is not secure, then again unauthorized persons then deduct money from your RFID tag. Clear? So next we will proceed to the lightweight cryptography. So due to advancement in the technology, and more focus is on compact devices utilizing minimum hardware but better efficiency. Clear? So lightweight ciphers have been proposed to provide strong security at a lower cost. So what is basic requirement? So basic requirements are it should occupy less area. Clear? Then it should have higher speed and it should have higher security. Clear? So one of the basic concepts that are used to consider the lightweight cryptography algorithms in ASIC, that is get equivalent, and G equivalent. The G, that is get equivalent. And if you will do FPGA implementation, slices. Clear? So as light as feather and as hard as dragon scale, so exploit the security efficiency trade-offs inherent in implementations of cryptographic algorithms. Clear? So lightweight cryptography targets a very wide variety of devices. Clear? So they can be implemented on a broad range of hardware and software, and their communication can be either wired or wireless. So here the basic constraints are, what are those? One is the memory, power, and the size. Clear? So the radio frequency identification tags, IoT devices, and wireless sensor network are some typical example which utilize a lightweight cryptography. Clear? So a selection of cryptography which aims at the development of algorithms for use in constrained devices. It preferred to as a lightweight cryptography. So constrained resources, already we have discussed that memory, power, size for the operation. Then lightweight ciphers have been proposed to provide strong security at a lower cost than a standard solution. Clear? So we have already discussed that applications of this lightweight cryptography in Internet of Things, RFID tags, then smart cards, wireless sensors, then electronic passports, then logistics, then road toll collection. Clear? So now we'll discuss that comparison, that is cryptographic versus lightweight cryptography. Clear? So conventional cryptography. So examples of conventional cryptography that already we've discussed, that advanced encryption standard, that is AES, or it is DS, data encryption standard. So these conventional cryptographies are suitable for servers and desktops, tablets, and smartphones. Why? Because these servers, desktops, tablets, and smartphones have reasonable processing power and memory capabilities and much physical space, storage space. Clear? And but at the same time, this conventional cryptographies are complex and slower. Clear? But whereas lightweight cryptography, so lightweight cryptography example, it is Present and Simon. These are the example of lightweight cryptography. So this lightweight cryptography is suitable for embedded systems, RFID, and sensor network, because these embedded systems, RFID, and sensor networks are resource constrained devices. And but whereas that's why these lightweight cryptographies are simple, simpler, and faster. Lightweight cryptographic algorithms are simpler and faster. Clear? So you can see here the table it shows, if you see that algorithm, that is DS, that is data encryption standard, then AES advanced encryption standard are conventional cryptographic algorithms. Clear, these are the conventional cryptographic algorithms, whereas present, Simon, Lilliput, these are all what lightweight cryptographic algorithms. So if you see the block size, it is of DS64, AES128, then present 64, Simon 64, Lilliput also 64. The key size also various it is given. But what I want to show you, you can see here that in ASIC implementation, you can see here the gate equivalent. If you want to, how much it is required to implement this DS, it requires 2,800 gate equivalent, whereas AES advanced encryption and implementation, it requires ASIC implementation, it requires 3,500 gate equivalent. Whereas if you see this lightweight cryptography is present, it requires only 1,570 gate equivalent. And if you see that Simon some lightweight cryptography implementation, it consumes only 1484 gate equivalent, whereas this Lilliput it consumes 10552 to 11581 gate equivalents. So you can see this compared to this lightweight cryptography, how much more gate equivalent it consumes in ASIC implementation, clear, in the conventional cryptography. So structure, if you see D is having Feistel structure, and AES it is substitution permutation network, SPN structure, and present also it is a substitution permutation network, that's SPN network, and Simon it is a Feistel structure, whereas Lilliput it is extended generalized Feistel structure, that is EGFL. Clear? So what is the motivation for research in this field? So with the development of electronic and communication applications, traditional block ciphers such as advanced encryption standard, that is AES, are not suitable for extremely constrained environments. Clear? So today the demands for secure communication on resource constrained environments inspire the development of many lightweight block ciphers. Clear? So a lot of research is going in this field. So there are security and privacy challenges concerning this technology. Clear? So development of hardware efficient security primitive for resource constrained devices is a challenging task that recently is being more dealt with. Clear? So the broad adoption of IoTs is slowed down due to privacy and security requirements that have not been addressed completely. So a lot of this is the research motivation in this field. Clear? So a lot of research is going in this field. Okay, so with the advent of pervasive computing, very smart devices involve processing of sensitive personal information like health or biomedical data. The increasing demand for integrating cryptographic functions into embedded applications has risen. So you can see here the past, there are mainframes, there are many huge systems in olden days. So many is to one, that is n is to 1. But whereas if in present, and we are not at the present, we are in between future and present here already. So here now personal computer 1 is to 1, but in the future pervasive computing. So one person will be connected to all the devices. Clear? So we'll see pervasive, that is wireless plus embedded plus and it should be the cost also should be cheap, and the constrained in the CPU. But whereas it is a pervasive, this is what is constrained in the CPU, memory, and the battery. So if you'll next this block diagram, it shows what it shows. It shows that trade-off between cost, security, and performance. So this block diagram, it shows the trade-off between cost, security, and the performance in cryptography, lightweight cryptography. So what is trade-off? So one side it is security, other side is the cost. If you will compare, if the increasing the key length, if you will increase the key length, thus ultimately the security you will enhance, but simultaneously your your algorithm, it will become complex and it will take, but the cost will increase. But whereas if you compare it, the performance and the security, so in the algorithm, if you increasing number of rounds, the security will increase, but the performance will decrease, because if your number of rounds are increased, ultimately the throughput will decrease and the performance will decrease. So if you compare in between the cost and the performance, if it is parallel, then performance definitely will increase, but whereas the cost will be, it will also increase. So whether it will go for the serial implementation, the cost will reduce, but while the performance will be reduced. So this is the trade-off between the cost, security, and the performance. Next, the block diagram. It shows the classification of lightweight block ciphers. So you can see here that round structure. So what are those round structures? So first one is SPN based, next is the hybrid, then ARX. SPN based means substitution permutation network based. And next it is a hybrid. Hybrid is the combination of more than one type of structure. It may be the combination of substitution permutation, that is SPN plus stream based, or if you see here it is a Feastel plus substitution permutation network, that is SPN, and here it is Feastel with the ARX. So what is ARX? ARX is the add, rotate and XOR. Clear? ARX structure, it's add, rotate and add, rotate and XOR. So next it is the stream based, then next one it is the Feastel structure. So what are those ciphers? It falls under the substitution permutation network based, and that is Klein, Midori, rectangle, Prince, M-Krypton, then present, ESF. These are the examples of substitution permutation network based lightweight block ciphers. Then we have a hybrid structure inside below the hybrid structure. What are those? Hummingbird, it is a combination of SPN, whereas substitution permutation plus stream. Then SFN, again CMON. These are the example of hybrid structure lightweight block cipher. Then we have height, LEA, and CIMEX spec are example of ARX based lightweight block cipher. Then Cotton and Cotton, these are the example of stream based lightweight ciphers. Then that L block, then Piccolo, QTL, Lilliput. These are all example of Feastel based Feastel structure based lightweight block cipher. Clear? Now you can see that lightweight cryptography primitive. So if you see lightweight cryptographies, it can be divided. What are those? In first one is the lightweight block cipher. So lightweight block cipher, what it have? It have small block lengths, we have small key length, we have simple round functions, and we have simple key generation, and we have minimum minimal implementation in the case of lightweight block cipher. Then in the lightweight stream cipher, we have pseudo-random number generators, we have small inner state length, then we have small initialization length, then we have a short LFSR length. So whereas lightweight hash functions, what it contain? It have a small hash code, we have small block size, we have simple compression function, and less number of input blocks. Whereas lightweight message authentication code, that is lightweight MAC, what it contains? That is small MAC output, then small internal state, then we have less number of rounds, then small key length. So clear? So the design principles of this lightweight cryptography, what are those? First one, it is the block size. So increasing the size, it improves. Increasing the block size, it improves the security, but ultimately the algorithm will become slower. Clear? The cipher will become slower. Then next is the key size. If you increase the key size, it improves the security. But whereas if you increase the security, how it increases? Because it makes exhaustive key searching harder. Because the key space, it will become larger. But at the same time, may slow down the cipher. Clear? Now next is a number of rounds. If number of rounds are improved, ultimately it improves the security, but it slows down the cipher. And next one is the sub-key generation. Again, greater complexity can make analysis harder, but it slows down the cipher. Next is the round function. The greater complexity can make analysis harder, but it slows down the cipher. Next is the fast software encryption, decryption, and ease of analysis. So area are more recent concern for practical use and the testing. So you can see here cryptographic performance metrics. So the performance metrics is divided into two parts. One side we have hardware metrics and other side we have software metrics. So if you'll see this software metrics, so what are those? One is the first one is the RAM size, then clock cycle, how much clock cycles it will consume, how much is the RAM size it requires, then how is the throughput of the algorithm, then how much is the core size of the algorithm. Clear? Next, if you will go for that hardware matrices, we have how much area, silicon area it consume, how is the performance efficiency, then how much power energy it will consume. So again, energy per bit. Clear? Again, next it is classical that what requirements and optimization goals. If you see design principles, so again we have discussed block size, how much the key size, number of rounds, sub key, how much it is, then round functions and software encryption and decryption. So the other side we have already discussed, that is a throughput, area, memory, clear, reliability, then flexibility and the security. So if you'll see this the profile characteristics of lightweight cryptography, so you can see physical characteristics. What are those? That is area, that is I've already discussed how much gate equivalents, that is logic blocks are required. So in memory, how much RAM, ROM it is required. Clear. So implementation type, it may be hardware or software, or part of it can be hardware and part of it can be the software. Then performance characteristics, it may be latency, that means in clock cycles or time period. So throughput. Next it is that security characteristics. What are those? Minimum security strength. So next it is attack models, then side channel resistance requirements. So similarly, profile templates for the lightweight cryptography. What are those? The functionality. So purpose of cryptographic algorithm, the encryption, authentication, encryption schemes, hashing, message authentications. So design goals, list the design goals, physical characteristics, then next is the performance characteristics, then security characteristics. So security characteristics, what is how much minimum security strength, how much it is, relevant attack models and side channel resistance requirements, etc. Okay, so now the applications of lightweight cryptography. So you can see here that in electrical home application and smart TV, this the SPEC, Simon, and Twin that lightweight cryptographic algorithms are suitable. For what purpose? For the electrical home applications and the smart TV. Why this SPEC, Simon, and Twin is suitable for this purpose? Because this lightweight cryptography, it consumes less CPU time and occupies a smaller ROM space. And next application, RFID type application. For that, what are those ciphers are suitable? Simon, SPEC, Piccolo, Prince. These ciphers are suitable for RFID tag application because circuit size of several gets smaller. Because RFID tag, it should be that it is very small, so that these ciphers it should consume very less gate equivalent and very less area. So these ciphers, the circuit size of several gets smaller than AES, Advanced Encryption Standard, and consumes less power. Clear? Now next application, smart agriculture sensors. So for this application, SMEC, Simon, Present, and Twins are suitable. Why these are suitable for the smart agriculture sensors? Because less processing cycle it requires, hence longer battery life and less power consumption. Similarly, for the biomedical sensors, Simon, SPEC, Piccolo, Presence are suitable. So what for it is suitable? Because implemented in hardware with less power consumption. Then next is the industrial system. Prince cipher is suitable because it attains higher throughput. Then for the automobiles, Prince Present cipher is suitable because it consumes reduce the circuit size while maintaining the throughput of AES, Advanced Encryption Standard, have lower latency. Clear? So based upon our requirement, we can choose any of the lightweight cryptographic algorithms. Clear? So now security attack. So security attack is an action that compromises the security of an information owned by an organization. Clear? So security attacks are classified as active and passive attacks. Clear? So passive attacks are nature of eavesdropping or maintaining the transmission of information. Clear? So the goal of attacker is to obtain the information that is being transmitted. Clear? But where these passive attacks are difficult to detect. Why it is passive attacks are difficult to detect? Because they do not involve any alteration of data. Clear? So you should remember, passive attacks are not involved in alteration of data. But whereas the active attacks involves some modification of data stream or creation of a false stream. Clear? So active attacks present the opposite characteristics of the passive attacks. Clear? So now cryptanalysis and brute force attack. So already I have discussed previously. So the objective of attacking an encryption system is to recover the key rather than recovering the plain text. Clear? So the two approaches used are cryptanalysis and brute force attack. Clear? So cryptanalysis relies on nature of algorithm and some plain and ciphertext pairs in order to break the code. Clear? So this type of attack explains the algorithm to reduce the key or specific plain text. Clear? So whereas in the brute force attack, the attacker tries every possible key. I was giving an example of ATM pin. That's what I was talking. That ATM pin, it varies 40249. So your key space, it is 0000 to 999. So they will check every possible keys in brute force attack. The attacker tries every possible key on the ciphertext to recover the plain text. Clear? So on an average, half of the possible keys must be tried in order to achieve success in this method of attack. Clear? So this becomes practically impossible when the key size is very large. That's why the length of the key should be higher enough. So if the length of the key is higher, that means the key space is higher. That means the brute force also, it will be impossible. Clear? Next, it is the side channel and related key attacks. So what is this side channel and related key attacks? Side channel attacks comes under cryptanalysis, use the properties of implementing during cryptographic algorithms such as timing, power consumption and electromagnetic emission to discover the plain text or the key, but not on the weakness of algorithm. Clear? Now the different classes of side channel attacks are timing attack, power monitoring attack, electromagnetic attack, then differential fault analysis, which discovers key or plain text by introducing faults in the computation. Clear? So related key attacks in a form of cryptanalysis in which information about key is discovered by performing operational using multiple unknown keys that have a known relations. So conventional cryptographic algorithms are designed to have an optimal performance on computers and server nodes. The paradigm shift from higher to lower dimension device and has raised new security and privacy concerns. Clear? So the devices in the lower end dimension are embedded system. So typically this embedded system may have 4-bit or 8-bit or 16-bit microcontroller. Clear? So RFID tags and also the sensor networks. So lightweight cryptographic primitives are standardized to have an optimal performance on lower dimension device, and which are a crucial part of the RC, means resource constrained environments. Clear? So these primitives differ from conventional cryptographic algorithms with an assumption that these are not suitable for a wider range of applications. Clear? So lightweight primitives are similar to conventional primitives, except that lightweight primitives have very simple key and block sizes. Next, simpler key schedulers. Next, smaller internal states for the hash function based primitives. Clear? So symmetric key ciphers are generally classified into block ciphers and the stream cipher. So you should remember, symmetric key ciphers are generally classified into two types. What are these? One is the block cipher and the other one is the stream cipher. Clear? So most of the lightweight cryptographic primitives are symmetric block ciphers, as there is only a single key which makes encryption and the decryption process in symmetric cipher. Clear? And this results in lesser complexity in hardware design. So cipher algorithm has three phases, that is already you know, encryption, and also I have discussed, that is encryption, decryption, and the key expansion. And block cipher refers to the plain text is encrypted in terms of blocks. It may be of size 164 bits block, or it may be of 128-bit blocks. So block ciphers are further divided into many categories based on the structures. Clear? So the performance improvements in a lightweight block cipher over conventional ciphers is achieved by following design choices. That means it should have smaller block sizes, it should have smaller key sizes, it should have smaller rounds, it should have minimalistic implementation, it should have smaller the key schedulers. Clear? So already I've discussed about Feistel and substitution permutation network, that is SPN structures. So Feistel structure has the advantage of identity, very similar encryption and decryption operatic with only several reversal of a key schedule. Whereas SPN structure, that is a substitution permutation network, often known as SPN, is a network that takes in blocks, that is the plain text and the keys, and applies alternative rounds, that is a substitution layer and a permutation layer to produce the final cipher text. So next it is a lightweight stream cipher. So you can see the block diagram, it shows generic stream cipher. So lightweight stream ciphers are also produces promising results in the constrained environments. And in a stream cipher, R bits are encrypted and decrypted at a time. So the nature of the stream ciphers involves generating a sequence of random and secure bits, which is known as the key stream. Clear? So the key stream is combined with the plain text or the cipher text using bitwise XOR operations. Clear? So hash function, next it is that lightweight hash functions. Okay, so hash functions are extremely useful, and you should know that hash functions are always, it is one-way function. So why these hash functions are called one-way functions? Because first of all, what is a hash? Hash means we are giving that arbitrary length message, and this hash function, it takes that arbitrary length message and it processes and it produces the fixed size length. Also, this hash also called as a message digest. Clear? Hash also it's called as a message digest. Based upon the input arbitrary size message, it will generate a fixed size message, that is fixed size code, that is hash, or also it is called as a message digest. Clear? So from this message digest, you will not reproduce the original message. That's why always you should know this hash function is called one-way function. So what for this hash functions are utilized? These hash functions are utilized to ensure integrity. Integrity means you should know while transmission, we should able to check after reception of the message, you will able to check whether the message is altered while transmission or not. So how you will able to check whether the message is modified or altered while transmission? So with the help of this hash algorithm will be there, same hash algorithm will be there at the sender end, again in the receiver end. So sender end, what it will do, before sending the message, he will generate the hash of the message and he will encrypt it. Along with the encrypted message, he will send that encrypted hash into the receiver end. At the receiver end, he will decrypt all this hash, and again what he will do, what message he has received, that message he will again put in the hash function, and again he will generate the hash. If the both the hash, what it has been received from the sender end, what it has been generated, and what it has been he has generated at the receiver end, both the hash functions will be compared. If both the hash are equal, then we'll come to know that message is not altered while transmission. Clear? So if both the hash functions are not equal, then we will come to know that message is altered while transmission. Clear? So am I audible to you all? Yes. I want your reply. Anybody?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So hash functions are extremely useful and appear in almost all information security applications. Clear? So a hash function is a mathematical function. Clear? Hash function is a mathematical function that converts a message of an arbitrary length numerical into fixed length value of compressed size. That's what I was talking about. Clear? So this process is often called as a hashing of data. Clear? So the output value of hash function is called message digest or hash value. Already I have discussed that one. Clear? So that's why the output value of the hash function is called as a message digest or hash value. Clear? So conventional hash functions have larger internal states and consume higher power, but whereas the lightweight hash functions, like for example of these lightweight hash functions are Photon, Quark, and Sponget are example of lightweight hash functions, are designed to overcome the above mentioned hurdles. Clear? So performance achievements is gained by smaller internal state and output sizes and smaller message size. Clear? Next, it is the classification of cipher implementation. Clear? So the classification of cipher implementation on design space was analyzed in the context of how the system platforms and respective targeted platforms. So you can see here, first one, it is that cipher implementation. So you can implement the cipher in higher performance systems. Clear? Next, it can be of general purpose microprocessor systems. It can be of low resource devices. So we can discuss the first one, the cipher implementation on the high performance system. So high performance systems, that means it can be this high performance systems, it have customized CPUs. So you will ask me, sir, what is customized CPUs? Customized CPU, it can be crypto ALU. Clear? Or it can have crypto processors. Clear? And you can have a crypto coprocessor. We have crypto processors. So what is crypto processor? Crypto processor is nothing but it is application specific instruction set processor. Clear? You will ask me question, sir, what is application specific instruction set processor? Look here, application specific instruction set processors are designed for specific application only. For example, DSP processor. Clear? DSP processors are, again, it is an application specific instruction set processor, that is ASIC. Clear? Because DSP chip it is been manufactured for only for the signal processing purpose. Similarly, again, this crypto processor also it is a ASIC processor, application specific instruction set processor, and these crypto processors are designed for what? These crypto processors are designed to efficiently compute cryptographic algorithms. Clear? So this crypto processor, again, it is a application specific instruction set processor. Clear? So these high performance systems can have customized CPUs. So it can have crypto processors, it can have crypto co-processors, it can have crypto array, it can have crypto multi-core. Clear? Now, next Cypher implementation, it can be of general purpose processor system. So general purpose processor systems, the what you are using now in the personal computers, in the servers, in the laptops, in the tab, they contain all general purpose processor systems. So general purpose processors, it can be of 8-bit. If it is 8-bit, it can be 8085. It can, if it's a 16-bit, it can be 8086. It can be i3, it can be i5, or it can be i7. All these are of what? General purpose processor systems. Clear? And next one, it can be the Cypher implementation, it can be of low resource devices. So low resource devices, again, it is divided into software platform, or it can be of hardware platform. Clear? So if it is a low resource device, it is software platform, it may be machine dependent, or it can be of machine independent. Clear? Again, in the hardware implementation, it can be of hardware implementation can be of FPGA, field programmable gate array. So FPGA, what you will program it, then if you will dump inside the FPGA, then that particular FPGA chip will operate what you have designed, that particular algorithm. Clear? So, or you can implement in the ASIC, application specific instruction, application specific integrated circuits. So you can custom design, and you can design your own application specific integrated chip, that is ASIC, or we can design through the full custom design. Clear? So that high performance systems, that is HPP. Clear? High performance HPP, you use specialized crypto engines such as crypto processors, co-processors, and crypto multi-core, etc. The primary focus is to have flexibility, throughput, and high security. Clear? The rest of the design constraints like area, power are neglected in high performance systems. Clear? And next one we have discussed, that is general purpose processor systems, that is GPP, general purpose processors do not possess any specific engines. Clear? So already we have discussed general purpose processors means that 8085, 8086, all, then Pentium Pro, then we are using i3, i5, i7, all these are general purpose processors. So GPPs do not process any specific applications. So these all high performance, these crypto processors are all application specific, or that's what I was telling. Crypto processors is also called as application specific instruction set processor. Clear? So GPP, general purpose processors, do not possess any specific engines. So the machine independent is high level structures are used to execute specific cipher on processors. So the main focus is on code execution speed. Clear? Now next it is low resource devices. So the research articles have provided many evaluations in which the lightweight ciphers targeted for low resource devices can be implemented either in software or hardware platform. Clear? Now, first one discuss with the software platform implementation. So the Cypher implementation on software platform implementation can be uh, machine dependent, or it can be a machine independent. So the machine dependent, the implementation rely on the microcontrollers and the microprocessors, that is assembly language, which are usually constrained in terms of bit processing size. Clear? And on the other hand, machine dependent implementations are typically on general purpose processors, which can use high level constructs. The speed and the throughput typically on which case depends on the compiler design and optimization style of coding. Clear? Now next it is that hardware platform implementation. So hardware platform implementation can be of lightweight cryptography algorithms in hardware implementation can be realized in the full custom or application specific integrated circuit, that is ASIC or FPGA platform. So if you will design ASIC, so you have to design your own chip, then you have to there are but you have to check properly. There are many if any fault is there before fabrication, then that what the chips, all the chips manufactured will be defective. So before sending to that foundry or fab lab, fabrication lab, so we have to check thoroughly that design. So in the ASIC, you have to send this design to the fabrication unit, fabrication industry. So in India, we have only one in Mohali, Chandigarh, that National Semiconductor. Sorry, in Mohali, Chandigarh, we have only one fabrication lab in India. Again, that also of 2000 old, 2003 technology, that is of 180 nanometer technology. Clear? But most of we are relying on foreign fabrication labs. Clear? So in ASIC implementation, we have to design and thoroughly check it. Then we have to send to the fabrication lab to fabricate the chip. Whereas with the help of FPGA, just design and dump that code to the FPGA, and directly that we need not to send to the fabrication lab, and that particular FPGA will operate like what we have designed. So the ASIC and full custom realization have a stronger dependency on tools and last time to market. Why it is called last time to market? Because in ASIC and full custom design, we have to design, thoroughly check it, then we have to send that one for a fabrication to the lab, fabrication lab. And after when getting that fabrication, that particular chip, we have to deploy in our product. That's why it takes larger time. But whereas in FPGA, directly you design and dump it to the FPGA kit, need not to send to the fabrication lab. On the other hand, FPGA-based realizations suffer with the insufficient of larger area and power consumption. Clear? So both have its own advantage and disadvantages. Clear? So the adaptability to reconfigurable logic and shorter time to market is an added advantage of FPGA, which makes it is a better choice of implementation compared to the ASICs. Because ASIC we have to send to the fabrication lab, so it takes larger time. Clear? Okay, so it is evident that when all the ciphers are implemented on respective hardware and software platforms, there is an asymmetry in the performance of the same cipher on different platforms. Clear? So the software implementation focuses on the memory footprint and number of clock cycles. Clear? So the resource constrained environments have stringent constraints of power, area, and memory requirements. Clear? So the optimization of these parameters is absent in software platform, which is a serious issue. Clear? So the hardware relation of cipher focuses on the implementation of area, power, and energy consumption and speed. Clear? So next is the design considerations. So the security strength, the algorithm that is selected should provide the same security, and there should be no compromise. Low area overhead for multiple functions. So this implies that encryption and decryption should have the similar round functions, which makes both shares the same logic. Clear? Next, it is ciphertext expansion. So this has a direct effect on the storage capability. Clear? So both the plain text and ciphertext should be of same length. Clear? The next parameter is a flexibility. So algorithms should have wider implementation on single platform. So tunable algorithms which use parameters to select properties such as state size and the key size are designed. So this allows the usage of multiple implementation on single platform, sharing the available logic without consuming more. Clear? So next one, it is the side channel and fault attacks. So the side channel attacks use the properties during implementation such as timing, power consumptions, and electromagnetic emissions. So the selected algorithm should be resistant to side channel and fault attacks. You should remember. Now, next, it is the platform we already discussed. So that is the hardware implementations like field programmable gateway, that is FPGA, or application specific integrated circuit, or full custom. Already we have discussed. So proper choice of platform is needed to deploy in specific application environment. Clear? Next, it is the design strategies for hardware realization. Now, VLSI architectures for various cryptographic algorithms majorly fall into category of serial and parallel architectures. You should remember. So serial architectures are aimed for lower area and power consumption, but whereas the parallel architectures on the other hand are for higher throughput, speed, and frequency applications. Clear? So there are different VLSI architectures employed for lightweight ciphers. So what are those? They are round based single loop architecture. Next one, it is a loop unrolled architecture. Next is the parallel pipelined architecture, and the last one is the serial architecture. Clear? So we'll discuss one by one here. So first one, it is that round based architecture. So what is round based architecture? The round based architecture aims at compact and minimum area occupancy, and the round architecture comprises of a single round architecture of the cipher. Clear? These single loop structure definitions have significant area savings. Should remember. Clear? So in this architecture, speed is trade-off with the area. Clear? In the round based architecture. So we'll go for the next one, that is loop unrolled architecture. So in loop unrolled architecture, in this k rounds of the cipher are unrolled, resulting in better throughput than the single round architecture with slightly more area utilization. Clear? Now third one, it is the parallel pipelined architectures. So the pipelined architectures improve the speed. Pipelining registers can be placed in between the operation of a round and is referred to as the inner round pipelining. So the pipelining registers placed after every round of the cipher are termed as the outer round pipelining. Clear? So serial, next, the last one, it is that serial architecture. So the reduced data path structure results in area reduction and increased delay and latency. So for where that area is the main constraint, we have to choose this serial architecture. So the serial architecture, it is a reduced data path structure results in area reduction, but at the same time it increases delay and the latency. So this structure also has single loop structure as that of the round based architecture. Clear what we have discussed, but operations on reducing data weight, namely that is 4, 8, 16 or 32 and so on. This structure has increased complexity in the control unit. Next, it is the performance matrices. There are separate matrices for hardware and software platforms, but both of them have some common matrices. So the software performance matrices are as follows: that is core size, RAM size, cycles, and energy efficiency, power, and the throughput. Whereas hardware performance matrices are of area, then area per bit, throughput, throughput per area, power consumption, energy per bit. So next, it is a research gap and open issues. So lightweight ciphers are designed for a resource constrained environment. So the research direction in this domain differs slightly from the conventional cryptography. So the research direction had presented some of the open issues. What is that? Those are developing security metric and countering and modeling hardware trojans. So I'll ask a question: what is countering and modeling hardware trojan? Again, this hardware trojan, again, it is a very, very important topic, and lot of research throughout world it is going on hardware trojan. So I'll ask a question: what is hardware trojan? Anybody? If anybody know hardware trojan, see what is trojan? First of all, Trojan horse. What is Trojan horse? You must have heard that mythological story that inside the wooden horse, the soldiers, they were hiding and they entered inside the city of Troy, and the night they opened the doors and the soldiers entered and they won the war. So similarly, what is Trojan horse? This Trojan horse is broadly, it is been divided into two types. One is the software Trojan and other one is the hardware Trojan. So what is software Trojan? Software Trojan means, suppose one screensaver you will download from the internet. So when you will download that one to your computer, so it will be this Trojan, software Trojan, it will be hiding inside that particular program. Once it is that it will downloaded to your computer, this Trojan horse in the back side, it will start activated. So what it will do, that particular Trojan, software Trojan horse, it will take all your sensitive information like pins, passwords, everything. Then it will store all these informations and it will send it to the initiator who has created it. Clear? Now, what is hardware Trojan? Hardware Trojan is that when you will design a chip and you will send it to the fabrication unit, without your information, they can fabricate some extra circuitries inside the chip. That is called as a hardware Trojan. Clear? Again, in the design phase also, without unknowingly, without our knowledge, they can also develop some hardware Trojan. And you should always remember, while designing a chip, you should not leave much dead spaces in the chip. If that much dead space is there in your designing the chip, when you will send to the fabrication unit, so it gives open hand to the fabrication unit to put extra circuitries in that particular dead space. So the design, while designing a chip, it should be optimum enough. So you should eliminate as much as possible these dead spaces. Clear? So hardware Trojan, is that unknowingly that some extra circuitries or components, they will include extra circuits. And what it will do, once that hardware Trojan, it contains that particular chip, and you will deploy that particular chip in our system. That means what it will do, all the secret information and control of our system that who has created, they will gain. Yes, so that is called as a hardware Trojan. So before deploying that particular chip in our system, you should identify whether that particular chip, it contains hardware Trojan or not. Clear? So next one, it is the impact of software coding style or cipher, or style on cipher software implementation. Next, it is security metric. So state-of-the-art research states that there is no proper security metrics State-of-the-art research states that there is no proper security metric for lightweight ciphers. So ciphers should undergo all security attacks in order to breach the encryption algorithm. Clear? So based on the result, the cipher is stated whether it is more or less secure. Clear? So countering and modeling hardware Trojans. So hardware Trojan is a malicious circuit. You should remember this one already what we have discussed. So hardware Trojan is a malicious circuit which is embedded in the system or to effects in functionality during the transmission of the key. Clear? So in this particular case, countermeasure is taken through design for security methods and hardware Trojan approaches. So hardware Trojan modeling and analysis is attracting research in the community. So impact of software coding style. So there should be proper method to reduce the impact of coding style on software implementation of lightweight primitives. Now, what are those research gaps? So the research also focuses on the improvement in terms of latency reduction, security improvement, and minimizing internal states, and reducing energy and power consumption, then overhead reduction, reduction in chip area, etc. Clear? So, for example, lightweight block ciphers should focus on the improvement of reduction in block size, reduction in key size without affecting security, then having simpler rounds and simpler scheduling algorithms. Then lightweight stream ciphers have issues in reducing chip area, reducing key size, minimizing internal state. So lightweight hash functions also it is having reducing output size and reducing message size. So finally, the conclusion that modern cryptography is developing towards high computational efficiency and low overhead. Okay. So a secure e-commerce website can provide business with powerful competitive advantage. Clear? So business done on the internet is expected to increase. Securing the internet will bring the following, that is new customers and cost-effective delivery channel, then better marketing through better customer knowledge. So lightweight cryptography aims at the development of algorithms for constrained devices. The goal of lightweight cryptography is to enable a diverse range of modern applications such as smart meters and vehicle security systems, wireless patient monitoring systems, and intelligent transport systems, and Internet of Things. Clear? So these are the few references. Clear? So these are the few journal publications, recent publications. These are few recent internal publications. Thank you. Now it is open to you all to ask questions. Yeah. It should be.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Any
Thank you.
question from any participant, please?
Yeah. Any doubt, any question? It is open to you all.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. I extend a really heartily thanks to our speaker, sir, who spared time from his busy schedule to grace our session. Today we had an opportunity to hear thoughts. This will surely be going to encourage us in our future. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Sir, thank you very much, sir. Dr. Siddharth Chaubey here.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All the participants are requested to kindly switch on your camera so that we can take a screenshot.
Sir, I have a question. Can I?
Nilima ma'am.
Yeah, please.
Please, Nilima ma'am.
Actually, there is some background noise, so that's why I was hesitating. Actually, sir, we are talking about the security and privacy, but then while making any IoT application and dealing with the sensors and devices, there is major issue with the trust, because we have many manufacturers which have not standardized their devices, nor they are using some standard security mechanisms. And now, just now you have told about the lightweight security cryptography method.
Yes,
so very few of them are standardized. So how to choose any such method, like before developing any application or any prototype?
I will tell to you, these are all very new field, and NIST still standardizing this process is going on. Clear? NIST still they have shortlisted a few algorithms, and still that final selected NIST, it has not been published. Clear? So still that final round of selection of the ciphers, it is going on. Clear? So we need to wait few more days so that final NIST standard lightweight cryptographic algorithms they will publish. Clear?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Already DAS and later on they standardized in conventional cryptographic algorithms. AES it is there, but for that process is going on. There are various rounds already. It has been it is going on, and final round it is there. Then they are going to publish that final cipher which are standardized by the NIST. I think within few days it is in the final stage. They are going to standardize it.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was a very useful and wonderful session, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam. Thank you, madam.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. All participants, please switch on your cameras so that we can take a screenshot. Our next session will be start at 1 p.m. sharp. Dr. Suraj Sharma from IIIT Bhubaneswar will be speaker for the next session, and topic the next session is importance of cloud in IoT. All participants are requested to join the session before 10 to 15 minutes. Please switch on your cameras. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.